Right, how are we doing? We're back on the 67 Hail channel on YouTube with me, Hamish Carton. Less than 48 hours now to go until Celtic take to the pitch Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kick-off against that lot from across the city. You know what it's like in the lead up to these games. The entire week is spent thinking about various scenarios that may or may not happen during the match, dreaming the best scenario, having nightmares about the worst. But I am quietly confident for this game. There's a number of reasons for why I'm feeling that way, and hopefully if you're not feeling quite as confident as me about a Celtic victory, I can bring you over to the good side during the course of this 10-minute video, because I'm going to list 5 key reasons why Celtic will beat Rangers on Saturday. Let's get into it. Now, this first reason for a Celtic win is a pretty obvious one. It's probably one that's been overlooked as well, in my opinion anyway. The fact that we're at home for this game, we're playing at Celtic Park, we're not playing at Ibrox or even Hampden for this game. We have home advantage. The reason it's probably been overlooked by so many is that there's obviously going to be no fans of either side inside Celtic Park on Saturday afternoon. However, I do think that can have positive and negative effects for both teams, and not just a negative effect on ourselves. The reason I say that, if you look at the 2 league derby games last season, both won by the away team. On both occasions, the away team came, started the game well with a good intensity, really quieting down the home support, which nowadays makes up for about 98 or 99% of the entire stadium, and got the home support almost turning on their team. It's certainly what happened at Ibrox away back last September, and it probably happened to a greater extent, if we're honest, at the end of December at Celtic Park as well. So you can see the real benefits of being an away team in this fixture, going and quieting the home support. And I suppose the positive this time around is that if Rangers were to make a good start at Celtic Park, we wouldn't have a support there to get on the team's back. Now, I get that it works both ways, and obviously as a Celtic fan, I'd much rather we were playing at Celtic Park in front of 60,000 fans on Saturday. But as I say, I think there's positive and negatives for both teams. You also look at the fact that we're at home, and our record recently at home is absolutely brilliant. Of our last 21 league games, stretching back all the way to the season before last, I think, or the start of last season anyway, we've won 20 of those 21 games in the league. Now, the obvious one that we didn't win was that game in late December against our rivals, but it does just go to show how strong we've been at home. Their best performances this season have come at Celtic Park. The team seems comfortable there. You think back to the Hamilton victory, the Hibernian victory, a couple of the European one against the Icelandic side were really good that night, albeit against lesser opposition. And I think this team knows how to play well at Celtic Park. They're used to the pitch dimensions. We can really get our wingers into play, and I think that's going to put us in good stead for Saturday. I had to laugh earlier when I saw Chris Boyd doing his combined 11, and he had 6 Rangers players and 5 Celtic players. I know Chris Boyd is biased, and I know he plays up to it as well on Sky Sports. He's almost been given free rein as Mr. Rangers on that broadcaster's coverage, but even he can't surely believe that Rangers should have more players than Celtic in a combined 11. I'd probably only take Borna Barisic from the Rangers side. Maybe Ryan Kent, the way he's playing at the moment, but still big question marks over him for me. The rest would be Celtic. The fact is, we have better players. Our star men are better than theirs. And it's a pretty simple fact that's probably been overlooked again by a lot of people, given the way the game's been previewed by so many people, as if they've got the standout squad. We have better players, we've got greater strength and depth, and I think that will come to the fore again on Saturday. Perhaps the most reassuring thing is looking back at recent history and seeing just how dominant we've been in both this fixture and Scottish football in general. Now, it's a well-known fact, we've won the last 11 domestic trophies going in Scotland. Rangers haven't won a single proper domestic trophy, so one of the big 3 since 2011. That's obviously nearly a decade ago. So that tells you how dominant we've been. Even the current team, even when questions are asked of the current team, they find the answers, and they've done that over the last few seasons. Questions were asked after the Derby game last season, we won the league. Questions were asked in the League Cup final, even though we were outperformed, we still won the game. When trophies are on the line, we win games. Now, I know that a trophy isn't on the line on Saturday, but it's a huge game. And I think when the big games come around against Rangers, we invariably stand up and are counted. I think people are writing this Celtic team off, and I think that's a very dangerous thing to do. Now, I touched earlier on the fact that we have far better players than them in our starting 11 and our general squad, and I think that's kind of shown by the strength and depth we'll have on our bench on Saturday. Obviously, at this stage, prior to a Neil Lennon press conference and his announcement of the team on Saturday morning, we don't know the starting 11 he's going to go with. However, I would suggest that, you know, if Lee Griffiths doesn't start, he'll be on the bench. David Turnbull will probably be on the bench. El Yunusi will probably be on the bench. Tom Rogic, I think, would be on the bench. There's 4 match winners straight away for you. When you consider other players that could be on the bench as well, Patrick Klimala, we've got loads of firepower there, players who can really hurt them in the closing stages of the match. Got to remember as well, reinforce the point, you can make 5 substitutions in this game, and I think that's going to benefit ourselves more than them. Why? Because we've got more match winners. So don't be scared if the game is goalless after 55, 60 or even 70 minutes, because we've got a lot of firepower on that bench that can hurt them, and I wouldn't be too surprised if the game was won in those closing stages. And finally, the biggest thing we've got going for us, in my opinion, and the thing I think you will see on Saturday right from the off, is that this Celtic team has a point to prove. We have been written off by virtually everyone, including lots of our own fans, including myself in some videos over the last wee while. We've been written off. We've been saying that we're not very good. The team across the city are the ones that are going to win the league. I'm talking about the media now. And I think that will have grated with Neil Lennon and his players. You add into the fact that, you know, the players who weren't signed this summer had to put up with 293 days of that feeling of inferiority against Rangers on the pitch. Now, I know obviously we won the league, but we didn't win the league how we wanted to win the league. And that memory of them parading around Celtic Park at the end of last December, almost a calendar year ago, will still be fresh in the minds of Neil Lennon, of Scott Brown, and of many other players in that Celtic first team. If you add into that the amount of players we've got that have got a point to prove on Saturday, I've mentioned 2 of them already there, Lennon, Scott Brown, they're the 2 main ones. Odsonne Edouard, if he plays, has got a huge point to prove, given how he has played in recent games. He doesn't have a point to prove in terms of this fixture, we know that. But a lot of people asking questions about him. Can he step back up and become the Odsonne Edouard we know again? Because we'll badly need him if he plays on Saturday. Players like Shane Duffy, you know, why have you come to the club? Can you perform on the big stage? We know there's no fans there, but this is as big as it gets when you're a Celtic player. Home to Rangers, go and deliver. Vasilis Barkas, the same goes for him. Christopher Julian, Christopher Ayer, you know, Morelos has got the better of you in recent games. Can you stand up against him and put him in his place? And I just think that goes for so many players in that team that are going to play on Saturday. Their lot, on the other hand, I hope that they're going into it with a little bit of overconfidence, and I kind of feel like that's only natural when they've basically outplayed us. Let's make no bones about it, they have outplayed us over the last couple of games. Hopefully they think they're going to turn up and do the same again, and we can really put them in their place, just like we did a year ago at Ibrox. I see real similarities between that game and now, and a final point I'll make is that the COVID cases and all the positive, people are looking at that as a real negative, and of course it is, but I think one positive to come from it is that Neil Lennon can build that famous thing that he's done so often at the past in all of his clubs, and build that siege mentality. Everyone's out to get us. Let's fight together and get this result. Let's bring it on, guys. Hopefully you're up for it now. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be hearing from a few other members of 67 Hail Hail, answering some big questions ahead of the game. Bring it on.